Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 bot AI cast. You'll have to forgive me for a second there as I take out my elastic so I can commentate to my full extent. Very excited, only like 3 or fewer weeks remaining till I get my braces off, so that'll be nice. I shall celebrate that by eating an apple. And anyway, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We have got ourselves another one of these bot versus bot AI casts, and it's going to be a good one. It's actually not just going to be one. It's going to be a couple of matches here, as it shall be MicroMachine taking on Xena, what I think will be a great match. However, Xena is a very difficult bot for me to cast on this channel, as it is notorious for short 5-minute games, which is not good for YouTube. There's a sweet spot for YouTube videos, Starcraft length, and that is definitely not it. So that means I'm actually going to do a couple of Xena versus MicroMachine games. So we'll actually see some of the matches that aren't always cast. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, before we get too far into this one, make sure to go ahead and slap that like button if you haven't already. You guys are the best in this community at doing that. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and you better subscribe quick because this game is really going. Leave a comment down below that says MicroMachine is going to die, or just really anything. Those comments do help. Join the Discord, which is linked down below, and consider becoming a YouTube member if you do want to support this content. It does go a long way to helping. We have got ourselves a bit of a cheeky cheese by Xena. Gonna try and break down that wall of MicroMachine. It is a full wall, however, the SCV is being worked on. That is good targeting by Xena, not just derping and hitting the wall. However, it does kind of change. And wait a second, was that supply depot off somehow? I guess the depot of MicroMachine must have just been off, or somehow these units are pushing each other into the wall, so MicroMachine and Xena are actually fighting each other, SCVs against drones, but the wall is holding with this Marine shooting behind it. The Reaper is microing as well, so units are dying on both sides of the map. Xena is going for the cheese, the mother of all cheeses, as committed as it can. However, yeah, I think is this like a bug in the StarCraft 2 engine, or just a design flaw in the SC2 engine, in which like MicroMachine shoves one of its SCVs into the depot, so then they can actually hit units on the outside of the depot? Because yeah, I think that is a solid wall. Yeah, just, I guess if you have enough units and you click fast enough and clump them together, you can actually attack through the corner space of the supply depot. I've never seen that before, and that's not a factor for us humans when we play StarCraft 2. But all in all, that was a great hold by MicroMachine. It did everything it needed to there. It repaired the depot, had the Marine on the outside, and that really is the main thing. Have the wall, and you will survive. That is why we don't see this build done against pro players, or against anyone really on above Diamond on the ladder, for the most part. So yeah, Xena is in a very difficult spot now. It does have some redundancy when it comes to this build, as it does start droning up behind this. However, MicroMachine is not a bot to sleep on, as it is making Marines, getting out a siege tank. There's big potential for aggression. MicroMachine lost like 7 SCVs, which is surprising, seeing as how if it had just mass repaired the wall and not tried to fight through that spot, it would have been fine. But that is so bizarre. Yeah, I've never seen that before. I might have seen it talked about, because every now and then in the botting scene there is things that come up that it's like, hey, this is totally possible in the StarCraft 2 engine that no one has ever thought of, because it's just like, it's just not something that a human player can do. So yeah, Xena is in a pretty rough spot right now. It is just making more and more lings behind this. It does tend to just try and try again, attack and attack with just flooding lings. So it's not like a full macro build follow-up. It can afford to make another hatchery if it wants to, but I'm not sure if it does from this point. So it's going to be just lings trying to break the wall, and if the first attack didn't work, I believe this second one is not going to. So yeah, things are looking real rough for Xena. MicroMachine does cancel its attack, interestingly enough, but it's not like Xena is doing too much. It is literally just running its slowlings across the map, and they are dying. No hatchery on the way. And I would like to see, like, say if Xena did, like, it wouldn't be too much. Okay, there we go. Now we see it says it's transitioning. So, like, there is transition behavior. Maybe it's just a little bit late to kick in. But then again, who knows? Maybe Xena wins more of its games than if it, with those follow-up lings, than it would have attacked normally. And so, we do have MicroMachine crossing the map. I think we are just going to see Xena die this game. It's got out a decent number of lings, however, it's slow lings. 10 slow lings to Micro against 11 Marines with a Medivac, a tank, and a Banshee on the way. So I think MicroMachine has done this one. Let's fast forward to the end, and then we'll check out another Xena versus MicroMachine game. Yeah, solid hold by MicroMachine. You don't beat the second highest ranked bot on the ladder and a bot as reputable as MicroMachine and not be able to defend cheeses like this. Although not every bot's infallible, so we'll see how the next game goes. Alright, we are back, and it is time to get into the next one. And MicroMachine saying, my rudimentary database is telling me I've won 0% of our encounters. Which, if we watch that previous game, is not true. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Yeah, we do have Xena playing Protoss this match. So, did it say what it's doing? Protoss build, 4-gate. Proxy Void, Safe Macro, 2-base Stalker. I would like to see more of the Proxy Void done by Xena. It's been a while since I've seen it. Or I think with, I think it will be the 4-gate most likely. So, yeah, we'll just see whether Xena has more success this time. I think it probably will, because it can micro, like if it goes 4-gate Stalker, it can micro the Stalkers, of course. And that'll make a big difference, because with Unlimited, in the early game, Stalkers trade very well against Terran units, whereas later on, not so much, and Lings and Drones clearly don't do well against a wall. And this is the beauty of Xena. It's one of the reasons why Xena has got multiple builds now. It looks like it could actually just be going Zealots with 3 gateways out. However, no, that's just the speed mining, allowing Protoss to get out a ridiculous amount of stuff in the early game. Like, this is beyond normal timings for a human player. For those of you that are wondering, like, you cannot have 3 gates out and then your Cyber Core, I don't believe. Or it just doesn't really make sense, but when you're a bot like Xena, you can just do whatever you want. Crazy, crazy. Xena saving up its Chrono Boost energy. We'll see if it Chrono Boosts out like 3 Stalkers at a time. It's already got out a good amount of gas. And as soon as that Cyber Core is done, I think we could be seeing MicroMachine in a bit of trouble. However, trouble could arise for Xena as its probe is potentially going to die. It does throw down a pylon, so that will be a potential warp-in location. Warp Gate is being Chrono Boosted out. Not Stalkers, just Warp Gate. And then it is sending out another probe, so it will be able to build that gateway, hopefully. I'm curious to see how many times Xena would try and get a forward gate with this build, or whether it would have a follow-up. Say if this probe died, if it would say, okay, just build another gateway at home, or try building a gate somewhere else. It is an interesting problem as a programmer, because of course you don't want your bot to just run in probe after probe after probe. Or with this kind of build, maybe you do. Maybe you assign a couple stalker escorts for the probe or something, and then try moving out. Yeah, it's an interesting problem, and I do wonder what the bot author did in that case, or maybe they just didn't think about it at all, and it would just send out more probes. We do have the first 3 Stalkers moving out. MicroMachine does, however, have 1 tank on the way, and tanks are mighty good at defending against Protoss Stalkers in the early game. So that's actually a great build choice by MicroMachine. The 3 Stalkers do go forward, and the tank is sieged up, so Xena, I don't think, is going to be able to break this easily, and if it tries to wander forward into that tank range, it will be punished. It is rebuilding energy. Now, that could be a very easy trap for a bot author to fall into, to just be like, oh, unfortunately one of those stalkers did die to the Marines. But it could be a very easy trap for a bot author to fall into, in which, like, oh, I'll just try running up that ramp again. And that's exactly what we've seen Xena do here. Another 4 stalkers are on the way. That is a significant amount. The tank, however, 3-shot stalkers, so that's really problematic. They do actually get into the main base, though. The depot didn't raise, and so 3 stalkers are inside the house. That Cyclone can be repaired, and it better be repaired, as the stalkers are at the gates. We've got a Marine on the way. Another tank is on the way for MicroMachine. A Banshee is out with Cloak on the way. And so Xena is having a hard time breaking this location. It's actually given up trying to go up the ramp, weirdly enough. A lot of these stalkers are making a micro mistake. I guess it's trying to group up its units without taking into consideration the ramp. Eventually that stalker does get out of position, so the rest of these do try and join. But this is what I'm talking about. By like bots being issued too many commands, we see it time and time again from bots and bot authors. These stalkers, they could have been shooting down that ramp, but instead they were just standing there. Now they're gonna try and break it down, and they will not succeed, actually. Oh man, what a disaster by Xena. I actually thought it may have just won this game. Instead, it kind of just gave it away. And it goes to show that even the best bots can need a little bit of work. This Banshee has free reign to kill the stalkers as long as there's a tank there. Xena's going to have a really hard time. And yeah, that is not looking too good for the Protoss bot. 2 Banshees now working away on the stalkers. They are actually just running for the hills instead of engaging the units. And once again, the transition from Xena is a little bit too late. I do want to see Xena try and play out a macro game, potentially, like with a macro opening against MicroMachine, so it may look for longer replays, so we can see how well it does in longer games. But right now, things have not gone the way of Xena, and that's unfortunate, because as it got on top of that tank, I think it would have done really well. It could have just won the game, potentially, but then I guess it had stalkers near this cliff. And so the rest of the stalkers on the low ground, the programming or the grouping that Xena has with its units, were like, oh yeah, go group up with the other stalkers, and they just started hugging the wall. And that wasn't great. But then it was worse when the stalkers were just standing here, and they could have been shooting the depots or doing something else. And so I think that really is something that bot authors may want to consider when it comes to programming their bots. Like, make the movement, make the delay between issuing commands be the base attack fire, or at least have them, I don't know, A-move more often, something like that. Xena is now making probes. It's warping in a stalker back at home, but MicroMachine, it's got a big supply lead, a big worker lead. It's getting up a natural base, and yeah, I don't think Xena's going to change up its strategy. I think it'll just be stalkers, stalkers, stalkers until death. It does attempt to send out another probe to get another pylon going, and now it eventually does expand, which is cool. Can it hold on? That's the question. MicroMachine has got 3 siege tanks. Xena has got to stay away from those tanks. However, there's 3 Marauders as well. The stalkers can micro against the Marauders. Can they get on top of the tanks? Looks like the answer is yes, so that's good. And it looks like all these tanks actually will be cleaned up, so well done by Xena. Yeah, and it does clean them all up. Stalkers shooting away on these Marauders, trying to chase them down. This Reaper is being a pest. And oh, I didn't really touch on this. The fact that the Banshee is still unopposed, and it can just cloak whenever there's danger. It can kill virtually all the workers it wants to. As, yeah, that is not good. Another Banshee in the main base. And okay, it's not the tanks that kill Xena. It's the fact that it doesn't react and get detection in this scenario. And yeah, that is unfortunate. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this one, make sure to go ahead, slap that like button, join the Discord if you haven't already. If you're a bot author and you watch to this point in the video, go ahead and send me your bot replays if you see any cool ones. Comment, like, consider becoming a YouTube member. Thanks to everyone that does support the channel that way. You can check out the perks below if you want to. And yeah, well done by MicroMachine. It handles the cheese test, although if you guys do want to see more MicroMachine versus Xena games, let me know, as I think there's a lot of variation when it comes to Xena, but MicroMachine is just such a beast. GG.